Joining me now once again is Marwan Bishara, Al Jazeera's senior political analyst. As we discuss this deal, we got an idea just there with that graphic we showed of what is at stake for the Palestinians as they see this from their side.
Well, clearly this will be a bit of a break from the war. And to be honest, we've been talking now for something like 46 days about why this is not like any other war, right? This is not a war between two states. This is not a war between two armies. This has unraveled as a war on hospitals and schools and mosques and residential buildings, on doctors and teachers and nurses and journalists. This is the kind of war it's been, and that's why to have a few days of that kind of war, I'm sure it will be a relief for many of the people, whether they are patients in hospitals or whether they are children at home, just want to have one night of sleep without bombings. In that way, it is certainly welcomed and necessary. And clearly, the release of prisoners, held captives, basically, in Israeli prisons, old women and others for so many years, many of them without even trial.
Indefinitely as well.
Absolutely. That's also welcome. And I think the idea of getting those trucks of medicine and food and some fuel, that's also welcome, because the idea of starving a population is absolutely the definition of a genocide. When you cut electricity and basically starve a population, you're not being civil, you're being criminal in this war. So all of that is welcome. But when you listen to the Israelis, you get the sense that it's absolutely unwelcome. I mean, with the exception of certain members of the public who have family members held by Hamas, when you listen to the Israeli officials, it seems like this is just a bit of an exception, a bit of a glitch, that as soon as it's over, you know, a few days, 5, 6 days later, that they will resume their war. In fact, listening to Prime Minister Netanyahu speaking earlier today, he says already that the invasion of Khan Yunis, a city of 400,000 people, almost probably doubled by now because of the war, will be invaded, and it's not a question of when, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when, and probably expected to be again in the next few days. So Israel, in some ways, while it's presenting us as if they're making decisions in some form of institutions of a state, but the Israelis have been acting more like a tribe, a hateful, vengeful, violent tribe against basically a people, the Palestinians, and for 46 days carrying those sorts of war crimes against them, which really is just been so inhumane. Once again, just to have a few days of a bit of a perhaps relative humanity would be welcome.
Could that be something to build on for the future? And then also the fact that there will be many other Israeli families who will not see their family members released in this particular deal, and so they will be continuing to put pressure on the Israeli government going forward.
So that's the hope on the part of, for example, the Qataris who have mediated this. That certainly would be the hope of many of the Israeli families. I think also the Palestinians, of course, would like to see those humanitarian pauses, truce, whatever, transformed into extended ceasefires, and eventually, and that's my perspective on this, because today we were just talking about captives and pauses. For me, this entire war is illegal, is criminal. This war needs to end. The war needs to end, not some ceasefire here and there, not sort of extend the pauses, not, you know, beg the Americans to interfere when they are complicit in their war, when they are enabling the war crimes here, not to, you know, appeal to the Europeans who are, again, complicit in this war, enabling this war to continue while playing the humanitarians, showing up at the Rafah crossing with Egypt in order to check the goods as if they are the humanitarian when they are, in fact, complicit in the war crimes. So this entire enterprise of war making against a people who have been under occupation for 56 years, under siege, under criminal siege for the past 70 years, This must end. But we are somehow, all of us, wrapped up in this logic as if war is the norm. War is not the norm. Occupation is not the norm. Siege is not the norm. Killing thousands upon thousands of civilians is not the norm. Killing 5,000 children is not the norm. So the idea that this should be just a respite so that we can continue the killing of children, bombing hospitals and mosques, besieging schools, and bombing them from the air, that should not be the norm. The international community needs to wake up. And Israel's enablers in Western capitals need to wake up and not, flap themselves on the shoulder saying, oh, we did a good job because we have 5 days of humanitarian pause. It's criminal, it's inhumane, and the entire war must stop.
Senior Al Jazeera political analyst Marwan Bishara, thank you.